a woman who chose to conceal not just one, but 7 pregnancies from her husband and daughters. And what she chose to do after each birth will shock you even more. It was April 2014, and a man by the name of Darren West had just been released from a 9-year prison sentence, charged for the possession, distribution, and usage of methamphetamines. He had come to gather the remainder of his things from his old home in Pleasant Grove, Utah. As he sifted through the cardboard boxes, he started to smell rubbing alcohol and strong chemical fumes. That's when he came across a box labeled Megan's Baby Things. Megan, Darren's ex-wife, had moved out of the home in 2013 while he had been away in prison. The chemical scent grew stronger when he began to move the box aside, and out of curiosity, Darren opened it up. He was confused when he reached his hand in the box and found something wrapped in an old t-shirt and plastic bag. To his shock, he found something that no one should have to come across in their lifetime. Inside the cardboard box was the lifeless body of a baby. Frantic, Darren called Megan, demanding an explanation to what he had just found. While speaking over the phone, she admitted to having a miscarriage years ago. She said she didn't know what to do at the time and became scared. She hid the child, planning to eventually bury it, but didn't know how to go about it without causing a scene. Darren was shocked, although not entirely surprised that Megan had been so forgetful. You see, for years, Megan had struggled with a addiction. It was originally introduced to her through Darren, who went to prison for making and selling it, as mentioned earlier. Megan seemed entirely emotionally disconnected. Darren hung up on her shortly after. He had no idea how to handle this. He called the police. They arrived shortly after. When the police were notified of what Darren had found, they immediately brought in Megan for questioning. To everyone's shock, Megan seemed unfazed by this. She told the same story to the authorities that she had told Darren, that she had a miscarriage and gave birth at home. She freaked out, hid the baby, and had planned to bury it at some point, but never did. Police asked if there were any other bodies hidden in the garage. Megan seemed to take a ballpark guess, saying that there were about 8 to 9 deceased infants stashed away in the garage. They did not find 9 babies. However, it's still heartbreaking to confirm that they did indeed find 7 more babies. In total, there were 5 baby girls and 2 baby boys stashed and wrapped in various boxes in the garage. When police relayed this information to Megan, her response was pure confusion. She claimed she did not remember entirely how many there were, but didn't realize there were that many. Autopsy results revealed that only one of the babies was actually a stillborn. The rest had only lived for a few minutes before being suffocated. After police brought this information to Megan, she confessed that she had brought her newborns to their death. She seemed cold and unattached when sharing that she had given birth to these babies over the span of a decade, from 1996 to 2006. What's even more unsettling is that Megan seemed to believe her reasoning for sealing the fate of these newborns was valid. She was very matter-of-fact in explaining that she was heavily addicted to and alcohol at the time, and that she was not in a good place mentally or financially to raise them. But what was so confusing about this was that Megan was already a mom to 3 girls. Did she just tap out as a parent once her addiction began? Megan claimed that the only reason she kept her youngest daughter was because too many people knew about the pregnancy, including Darren. She went through with the pregnancy even though she was struggling with addiction at the time. Man, my heart really breaks for her youngest daughter in hearing this reasoning. I hope she's been able to heal through that reality. It is so strange that Megan seemed to have so many other options to avoid continually giving birth and disposing of her newborns. Birth control, abortion, and the laws in the state she lived. The state of Utah is considered a safe haven state. This means that a parent can surrender a child into state custody with no questions asked. Megan revealed her process once she neared her due date, which was even more shocking. When getting contractions, she would lock herself in a bathroom in the house and give birth in the bathtub. She would then take the newborn baby in her hands and press on their necks with her thumbs until they lost consciousness. She would swaddle them in old towels or sweaters, wrap them up again in a garage bag, pour chemicals over it to hide the scent of decaying flesh, and pack them into cardboard boxes. She would stuff them behind the boxes of Christmas ornaments and old kids' toys. I don't know, it seems like she seems to find some kind of satisfaction in it, if you ask me. Or not, this lady was not right in the head. Darren claimed to not know about any of this. However, since he was heavily addicted to drugs during this time, he is unsure of what really was communicated between him and Megan. During the time of Megan's pregnancies, he was unaware of what was going on in his daily life, though he did admit to know about 2 of the pregnancies. After DNA testing, it was confirmed that Darren was in fact the father to every single one of these babies. However, he is not considered a suspect of the crimes committed. Like, you'd think he would be a suspect due to his involvement, but he really was mentally not in a state to understand what was happening. When neighbors, friends, and family members were questioned, they all were shocked to find out that Megan had been pregnant multiple times and using drugs and alcohol regularly. Neighbors specifically said she seemed to gain and lose weight and was reclusive, but everyone was blindsided by her ability to lead this secret life. There were no records of her being admitted to a hospital for any of these births or receiving any professional medical attention, even at a basic urgent clinic. The prosecutor of this case believed that this was not just Megan on drugs or scared, but a sick and intentional thing, saying these were very cold, calculated killings. She was a woman who was remarkably, unbelievably, incredibly indifferent and callous. Megan responded back in saying, "I deprived my little babies at the opportunity of life. I think my mind was just so out of it. All I was focused on was the next fix." She was placed in the Utah County Jail while the case was unfolding and was put on watch. She was severely depressed, and it was a concern that she would conduct self-harm if left alone. When Megan went to her hearing, she refused to speak. She was stone cold, keeping her head down as her attorney read aloud a statement she had written, which read, "My depression and alcohol took hold of me the same way did. I cannot give a reasonable answer of why I was capable of such a sick and heinous crime. I kept my secret for 18 years. Megan's 2 eldest children came to court with letters to read in front of the judge. In sharing what they had written, both girls defended their mother. They described her as the mom who always had dinner ready on the table, was present and home and very loving. These statements were thoughtful sentiments, but did not waver the court's decision. Due to the specific timeline of this case, Megan was not given the death penalty, though technically she was qualified for it. She had committed these crimes between the years of 1996 to 2006, which was right before the law was changed in Utah in 2007. This law changed the qualifications for the death penalty. If she had ended the lives of her children just a year or 2 later, it's highly likely that she would have been given the penalty. Megan agreed to enter a plea instead of going to trial. This was under an agreement that could reduce her sentence by about 5 years, but by taking this, it would give her fewer options for her to appeal down the line. On the 12th of February 2015, Megan pleaded guilty to the 6 children she had suffocated and hid for years. Megan was held on a $6 million bail, $1 million for each baby, and sentenced to 15 years. Her parole was set for April of 2064. She will be 89 years old. It's believed that she will probably spend the rest of her life behind bars. What do you guys think? Do you think it was the addiction that drove her to do this, or her mental health? Phew, that was a lot. Just when you think you've seen it all. These cases never fail to shock me. This has been Killer Bites. My name is Brandi. Thanks for watching.